Hello? Alright. For some reason, it takes a while to actually see the game. Hello everyone. Welcome back to another stream. We're going back to this category, the pilgrimage percent. So if you don't know, this means going around the world to collect 4 echoes to get enough karma to go down to the depths and get the base game ending, as opposed to Rivulet's unique ending for their campaign. That's the story percent speedrun. And we did a bunch of testing last stream with that. Basically ended up telling me that the old strategy that I was already using is pretty good. But also that alternate strategy was only a little bit slower. I think slow enough that it's definitely not going to be better, considering that there's still improvements to be made on the route that I already used, right? But also what I want to figure out now, just gonna reset this. So basically spent the whole stream trying to figure out if the farm raised echo was ever worth getting. So the echoes that we currently get in the speedrun is the wall echo, the chimney echo, the sky islands echo, and the subterranean echo. And I thought maybe the wall echo takes a long time to get, so maybe it'd be better to get the farm raised echo too. But the farm raised echo was slow to get through in pretty much every situation. These are the wrong fruit to get, whatever. So you could either go to outskirts immediately, then get the farm raised echo over there, and then go from outskirts to industrial to chimney, and then pretty much continue the route as normal, except skipping the wall echo. Or no. What the alternative was to do that, but instead of you'd get the wall echo, chimney echo, and skylands echo, but then you would passage back down to drainage system, and just go down to the depths from here. Because we already have the 4 echoes, right? You don't need to go all the way over to farm raise, subterranean, get that echo, then go down to filtration. Whereas you could just go to drainage and then filtration is basically right there. But another strategy that I wanted to test out was, because getting the farm raise echo pretty much always takes a long time, right? So the alternative to that, like you could either go to farm raise from the top, like from Sky Islands farm raise, get the farm raise echo then, or you could try to go closer to subterranean. And then just before getting the subterranean echo, go down and get the farm raise too. Or from the start, go over to outskirts, get farm raise, and then go up to like industrial chimney. So both of those options are pretty slow. So the idea that I have now is to try to get the shaded echo, which is funny because I pretty much immediately, I never considered the shaded echo as possibly viable. I think it might be now. So instead of getting the farm raised echo or the subterranean echo, get a shaded echo. Because getting from chimney to shaded is actually very fast. Because if you're in chimney, you just need to go down to industrial and then go down to shaded, which is like a few rooms away, right? And shaded is such a horizontal region. I feel like Rivulet should be really fast. I don't know, you could also say that Rivulet is just fast all the time. And from that, especially because the gutter, because we go through the gutter, right? And so if you go gutter, chimney, you're at like the lower parts of chimney canopy. I'm kind of referring to chimney and gutter as separate regions. So the lower parts of gutter is really close to industrial, which is really close to shaded. And it's just shaded that you have to it's weird how close they are. It really is like a few rooms. I think it's 6 rooms between the two. But of course shaded is still somewhat of a large region. And I don't even know like the best route to go through shaded. Plus it's gonna be dark, plus we need to activate the echo, so like there's all these other problems too. But those are kind of the same problems that you have to deal with to get the farm raise echo. So, you know, maybe it is faster. Because we still get to go through the gutter, which has become a very optimized region. Anyway, this is not a speedrun attempt right now. This is, I'm still doing testing. It's have mods enabled. I just kind of wanted to start off the same way as normal. Which means that, this part of the run will also be annoying. Yeah, Industrial connects us so much. It connects to Outskirts, Chimney, Shaded, Garbage, and Pipe Yard. It's like a pretty small region, actually. Turnaround storage. It's also kind of why Pipe Yard is a really weird region. Pipe Yard, isn't the best at, connecting regions because it's right next to Industrial, which already is good at connecting regions, right? If you're in the Industrial, why would you go to Pipe Yard when you could just go any other direction to the region that you want to go through? Because Pipe Yard is kind of like, it kind of slow you down, honestly. So I want to look right here. I'm in the gutter right now, and the gutter kind of has two routes. You can go on the left side or the right side, and you'll end up in different places in Chimney. If I usually go the right side, because that brings you higher up to Chimney. I think it's the faster route. But the left side brings you closer to Industrial. So I might want to go... I don't know what the best option is. Right? Because ideally there's some shelter that I stay in, such that I can return to it after getting the Shaded Echo. I never know like the math for this, you know. Is it worth it to go as far forward as possible, or should I stay in, like, as close to the middle of the two places as possible? The middle of Chimney and the Shaded Echo, right? There's two shelters that seem like good options. One of them is like super close. I guess I might as well just take that shelter. Oh, the other question is, can you even make it over to Shaded in a single cycle? Also, there's a plank you can do, which makes sense, because you're a Rivulet. Okay, let me take this route. Let's look at the map, figure out where to go. It looks like I'm going to the right side now. And actually, there's a little shortcut. Okay, I'm not gonna know the wall fountains here. I'm really not gonna know. But I'm sure I can find some way to wall pounce up this room very quickly. Oh, and then you actually have to get up into that pipe. That was it. Can you... Okay, none of this is working out. That was better. That's probably a good way to do it. Those wall pounces. There we go. That is something worth practicing. And then you just go down here. Well, yeah. If you don't do that first part very slowly. I guess you could do a point here. Yeah, second point useful in a speedrun. I guess you could also do one here. Whoa, that's actually very fast. Oh great, I'm gonna have to learn how to do planks more consistently. That's 2 planks in a row that actually save a lot of time. If this ends up being the best route. like that graffiti in the background. So this is pretty much the closest shelter. You have to go a little bit backwards, like in this direction, which doesn't bring you anywhere. But it's also, well, maybe the other shelter is better than that. It would take forever to actually test it out. So the question, also the other one is closer to Shaded Egg. So in case getting there is really difficult, the closer Echo will be easier. So I assume it doesn't really, well actually I should get the Shaded Echo first because this is the only time I'm going to be down here. These are a bunch of rooms that you never go through as rivs, so, well, you go through here if you want to, but not in speedruns, so I have to learn some new movement for these rooms. This Echo, or this shelter right there would be the other option. This probably is probably the better option. So actually, Chimney to Shaded seems like a pretty far distance, but you only go through Industrial for a few rooms, and you go through 2 gates, and time doesn't pass when you're in a gate, so you're not really losing time by staying here. The more gates that you travel through, the more time you're going to spend. The more real time you're going to spend, but the less in-game time you're going to lose. Or the, like, when it comes to, like, rain. That's an example of Rivulet being too fast. I tried to do a slide bounce there, but I ended up overshooting at the slowdown. Yeah, help would be good there. Really good here. Maybe an extended slide would be better. And we're already in Shaded. That takes maybe a minute, maybe less. Now, I'm gonna take the route that I'm normally familiar with, just to see if I can make it to the Echo in time. Because I only have a little over 2 minutes left in this cycle to make it all the way to the Shaded Echo and then to a shelter. I'm gonna take the route that I normally take through Shaded, and then I'm gonna do some practice to see what the best route through Shaded is. Which I've never done before, for some reason. How many times that I've gone through Shaded, I've never figured out what the actual best way to do it is. I know what the easiest way to do it is, in my experience. I don't think there's gonna be any creatures here. I think I have everything disabled. Sniper mice aren't really aggressive, so there's not really a reason to get rid of them. They also kind of get in the way sometimes, and they aren't like directly useful to the player. It's funny, Lancer mice are kind of, they can be useful to the player as a source of light, but they're super annoying to carry around. But also as a new player, it might be the only source of light that you have. So you have to rely on the lantern mice. Even though eventually you can kind of learn the layout of these rooms, even in the darkness. Almost missed that jump. Usually this room is much more illuminated because of the lantern mice. And this room. Still no the movement though. Definitely don't need to do a backflip, you could just make that jump normally. This is a room that I don't know the layout of, because you could just like kind of jump to the left and you will eventually make it to the end. So I didn't really need to learn. But maybe I'll have to if this ends up being fast. Shoot. Yep, this is another room I don't really know the layout of. Oh, is that the rain? Where do I go from here? It's literally right here. Actually, this might be a problem. Might not be a problem because I think these rooms flood, right? Actually, no, it will be a problem, but Echo's like still a few rooms away. Oh, that's a problem. That's funny. I want to practice this more. So, let's look at the map. Going from shoreline stumbling your way into industrial. It's funny. The game is so big that you can just explore in random directions and you'll always stumble across something new. Until eventually you are bound to loop around and end up in an old location and it's like, oh wow, you finally found something that you've already seen before. It's kind of crazy that you can actually stumble across so many new regions when you don't know where you're going. Yeah, they want you to kind of go backwards through shaded because there's the scavenger merchant right at the start of shoreline if you enter from shoreline, or and shaded if you enter from shoreline. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same route as before. So open the live split thing. Actually, last stream I totally forgot to open it on screen, so you couldn't see the timer. Should be up now. Yeah, there we go. So now I can test out these different routes. So I think I'm gonna start from here. This is where the route split. I'm gonna just take the normal route for now, without much practice, and then the other one will also be without much practice. I guess I did get the practice of doing this once before, like literally just now, but Railroad's weird. It kind of has an intended route. If you ever watch a new player play the game, you're always thinking, please don't go to drainage system or farmers. Farmers ends up being actually a much more difficult region to enter because you need to get past the scavenger toll, and you need max karma. Do you need max karma? I think you do. So like those are two huge barriers because you probably don't even know how scavengers work at all. This room can be super optimized. Drainage system, however, is actually really easy to enter accidentally. It's just down there. A lot of players kind of stumble into that direction. Because industrial is actually, I think it's too close. You go up naturally on your like second cycle, and you don't have enough karma to enter industrial, so you're like, okay, I'm gonna go somewhere else. Or if you die, it's like either if you I'm focusing on this. I actually remember where to go this time. You either get there too quickly and let's see time that it takes to get to the echo. You get there too quickly and you don't have the karma, or you've died too much to like not be able to keep your karma up. Almost exactly 2 minutes. So you just kind of keep going, and farm race is really hard to get to, so you end up in drainage. And then by the time you do get there, you probably have stayed in a few shelters, and you probably have enough karma to enter. Although some players will see industrial gates and then think that it's important and remember to return to it. Now is the question of if I will remember how to take this other route. This area is also a lot darker. This will be a fun room to optimize if I have to go through here. I don't recommend going through it backwards though. Also keeping the mouse on screen just for the extra flavor. It's very awkward terrain to move quickly through. I'm gonna get a neuron light to practice these areas, so I can see what I'm doing. Purple. I think the purple light that's the purpose of the purple light, right? It wants you to remember. It wants you to see that immediately and just think, oh, this might be something very important that I need to like check out. Plus, like the long tunnel that you have to climb up, like to get to the gate. Well, that's not really helpful. Okay, I did realize something though in the middle of that. I was unoptimal in my methods of timing. So I can actually, there's a room where the two converge, the two routes, so I can just like see how long it takes to get to that room instead of going all the way to the end. Once I get there, they're the same route anyway. And also, like, oh gosh. Even if I do figure out like one of these routes is faster than the other, it still might not be the case because the two routes, like, if I just try them out, one of them might be faster than the other, and that's kind of expected. But if I optimize both of them, that order might change, and a different one is going to be faster. Like if one route is really hard to optimize, another route is like has really efficient optimizations. Okay, a minute exactly. I don't know why all these times are so clean. Okay. So ow. You actually can see this room very, very slightly. I also went through this room very slowly the first run, so I can improve that. I think there's a spitter spider here though. That might be a problem. Okay, well, I think that shows it. That's about at least 10 seconds faster. But also dark rooms, which means that the better that I learn those rooms, the faster they'll be. So knowing that, let's go back to another place. In Chimney. So I'm not gonna use the timer. I'm just gonna look, see if I can do this. So I was definitely able to make it this far on the last run that I did. Isn't it weird the sound that bat flies make when they touch the bat nip? Like it sounds like a spider or a pole plant or something, or monster kelp. Something like that, you know. So you think something's going on, but it's just a bat fly in the background. Whoops, hold up. This doesn't really matter too much. I remember that I was supposed to stay in this shelter. It's only like one room out of the way. It's right here. Okay, so from here to Shaded, see if that's possible, within 4 minutes. Not counting the time that I spend in gates. I guess the timer isn't recording right now. I need to see if this is possible before I even start timing it. Too fast once again. Oops. I was thinking that might happen, and then it happened. The in-game timer just keeps going normally. It also has like all sorts of other inaccuracies, so. It's actually surprising that we use it for timing runs. I guess the reason is, between runs in the same category, the timer's going to be inconsistent in the same ways. So in Rivulet, Slurpee sent you karma cache at the beginning, which messes up the timer. But everyone's going to karma cache, so everyone's timer is messed up equally. And if there's like a major discrepancy, you can just look at the video and see why that happened and account for it later. There was this post where someone said that they got a really good Artificer speedrun. And it was like in 20 minutes, which is 4 minutes ahead of world record. No, 3 minutes ahead of world record. But 4 minutes ahead of the world record that's on speedrun.com. Which means it's actually official. So obviously people are going to see this run that's like way faster than we think is possible, and we're going to think that it's fake, like they cheated or they did something to make the timer a lot lower than it actually is, which is, I'm pretty sure it's what they did. There may be something that you can do related to starving or some weird jank with like shelters that would let you like cut several minutes off of the timer for free. There's also a way you can abuse that in like double % speedruns if you make use of starving in a clever way. You can make the whole run like a few minutes. Because the pebbles run is pretty much going off the pebbles and then going down to the depths. And if you use starves to cut out the times from both of those, it's only like a few minutes left over. Although I'm not exactly sure how exactly they do that, like when you have to starve. There's definitely some sort of wall pounds you can do these rooms. I really need to... There's a mod that makes some shaded citadel not shaded, right? I might want to use that mod if I... Okay, all these questions I have depend on if shaded is even fast to go to in the first place. If it's not fast, there's no reason to bother with optimization. And the main comparison here is between this or the Subterranean Echo or the Farmer's Echo. Those are like the alternatives. I feel like this is possible. Like it's not. I think it's just now starting to rain, and I still have plenty of time to get back to the shelter. And I don't think that once I get the shelter, getting over here won't be too bad because the echo's gonna pass by everything. So maybe like a spider in this room could kill me. Yeah, we have plenty of time. So this is possible. You starve in here. And see, I already have passage there. So I think karma caching and then starving afterwards gives you the martyr. So we can use that passage afterwards. They're so thin. Too many jumps. I need to remember that starvation, I think it's a lot like gourmand. So basically avoid jumps like the plague. If you don't need to jump, don't do it. Every jump loses you stamina. You could just like move forward to vault over small ledges. But also you still want to do that kind of stuff to go faster. You have no name. That's actually, it'd be really funny to get this echo in the Rivulet speedrun, because Rivulet is the only Slugget with a name. And maybe Speedmaster too. We wouldn't know. And then from here, we just do the rest of the speedrun as normal. So actually, something I kind of want to do now is just look back at the VOD and just calculate the time. So this was... Oh, it doesn't want to show me the actual time that it's been. I guess the timer is kind of the cycle timer kind of acts as the timer here, because it takes at least 4 minutes for it to start raining. But most of the time save, or the possible time saved from doing this routing, is because of going to different regions entirely. Like, I don't need to go to anything past Sky Islands. I don't need to go... Actually, yeah. Shaded, Chimney, Wall, Sky Islands. Those are the only echoes. You know, I could probably, I can't. They jump too high. I can do that, though. It's fine. These rooms can also be optimized. So if I do a test run using this route, then yeah, I'm gonna have to make a lot of improvements. Just because it's a lot of movement that I'm not familiar with. I did practice this though, once. In a speedrun that I never really got to do fully. It was the Rivulet couple percent run. Which is strange because Rivulet normally doesn't need to. Ooh, I also realized something else weird. I don't have any food at all. But there's the... That shouldn't be a problem though, right? You can eat the vulture grubs at the first shelter, and then you can eat like some bat flies, I guess. Let's see if I can consistently catch some bat flies up here. There's also those fruit over there. A little worried about RNG there. Like, I might just not be able to get the bat flies very quickly. And then you shelter here. The rest of this route is pretty much the same as it's been. So I kind of want to do a full run. And just see how fast I can do it. So this is a real attempt now. Well, real without creatures. You know. You get the idea. Also, I've realized that last time I did a practice run doing the full thing, I passaged to a not great shelter. Because it was basically if you start Rivulet and you immediately move to the... Go down to where the first shelter is and then go to the shelter to the left of it. That is where I sheltered first. And then where I passaged to. But then you have to take this kind of roundabout way through drainage system to make it down to filtration. Whereas for this shelter, the first shelter that you normally go to anyway, you can actually just go straight down through the underwater tunnels and immediately make it over to filtration in only a few rooms. And it doesn't matter that they're underwater rooms because we're Rivulet. Hello, welcome to the stream. This is actually like a semi-real attempt without creatures. Testing out the shaded citadel route. So getting the shaded echo, that's a new thing. A lot of new movement in Goddard 2. There's a whole bunch of new stuff in this round. So it's actually kind of exciting if this ends up being faster. But it's also kind of crazy that one speedrun potentially has two completely different routes. Going all the way over to Farm Raised and Subterranean. Or going over to Shaded instead. Or going down to Farm Raised from Outskirts, you know. Just when you're given all the echoes in the world as options and you're given Rivulet's mobility, you know. Are you talking about the jellyfish unlock? That's really funny. Because that's, I have no idea how I got the unlock. But I think you do it with an AI hop. One extended instant hop. Just make the jump. So if you know how to do that, it's easy. Otherwise, it's like impossible. You need to find some other jank way to do it. Like a squidcada or a mushroom. Or another character. I don't know if the other characters can unlock that though. If it's accessible as Rivulet, then it should be really easy to get. Or Artificer, or Saint. I mean, I don't know if Saint has any like unlocks. If you were somehow on a, or no, if you played through Rain World on a new save file and you never picked up an arena unlock, could you, like, how much stuff could you get as Saint? That's an interesting question. Actually, this is like a really crazy routing challenge if you want to get all unlocks in one speedrun. Because you can get a lot of unlocks as multiple characters. So you would ideally come up with a route that lets you play as the fastest character as long as possible. But even the fastest character might be slower to get to some areas than others, you know. This is kind of the dying to all creatures speedrun all over again. Like, such a complicated route. Let's try to figure out, but I'm sure someone's done it. I forgot to get food from down there. Actually, I don't know. I'm sure someone hasn't done it for Downpour. I know it's a thing for vanilla, but you only have to play as Monk, Survivor, and Hunter, right? I'm pretty sure that you would just play as as Survivor and Hunter. I don't think Monk has any unique unlocks. But doing it with all the downburst stuff, that's something a challenge. But also possibly like kind of interesting because it's such a long speedrun that you don't need to be perfectly efficient the whole time, you know? There's room for mistakes. Especially since not many people are likely to do that run, so you don't have any competition. I don't know, maybe if someone else has already routed out some of it, then I'll be interested. The lurkers are here. Hello, welcome to the stream. Currently testing out a new downport content ruining speedruns. It's very difficult. It's like such a complicated speedrun. Basically, make a map of the world and all of the unlocks. And you need to reach all of these unlocks. But your options are you can play as any of the characters. Whoops, I'm already going the wrong way. Taking the Sorbicent route. We're not doing that. I really need to practice this room. Like that, just do that. I've already figured it out. There's probably some unlocks in completely unique regions, so Metropolis has unlocks, Outer Expanse has unlocks, you know. Some unlocks are exclusive to some characters. That's not good. Wow, that was perfect. You can also do a plank in this room, which is actually way faster. Unless you do that. For Rivulet, you're never gonna recover. No. I guess you can use this pole to kind of line it up, so you don't have any horizontal speed at all. There we go. ×4. But you can see how much time that would save if you did it first try. You literally could just skip that entire room. So like remove like a minute from the time if you assume that I never made mistakes. Pondworm speed? Are you saying that the speed that the void worms drag you around? Because your body gets all stretched out. Worm on string. There's no ultra grids here. Maybe I'll just get a popcorn plant. Oh, it's something kind of exciting that has happened recently. There are, in expedition mode, there are these missions, which are basically a predetermined set of challenges for all the characters. So, Survivor has their own set of challenges, Monk has their own set of challenges, all the characters do. And so, of course, with a mission with a predetermined challenges and starting location and stuff, people are gonna want to speedrun it. But actually, I wasn't interested in doing speedruns of expeditions for a long time because you could use perks. So perks could give you high mobility, like Rivulet has. It could give you a double jump. It could give you all sorts of like buffs. And I didn't like that because every character just became the same character. You know, when you're doing a Hunter expedition, you have high agility and a double jump, so you're now Rivulet and Artificer, right? When you do a Gourmand thing, you have high agility and double jump, so you're every character becomes the same thing, where you have Rivulet movement with a double jump, you know? So no character's own speedrun would feel unique, because you'd all have the same abilities. Some things would be unique still, like Saint has the tongue, which is completely unique to them. You can't even use it in expeditions. Who else? Like, there's not really any unique things other than, like, it's the campaign and what the challenge is exactly. Those change, of course, but there's also the joke rifle, which actually I used in a stream once. If you put a pearl in the joke rifle, it can kind of propel you forward and make you go very fast. And I think the movement is fun, but since you can use the joke rifle in expeditions, that's what every speedrun becomes, because it's the fastest way to move around. So every character becomes Rivulet with a double jump and a gun. And that is how every single mission looks like. So it just didn't really seem that appealing. But now, there's actually a new category. That is actually these missions without any perks allowed. So the Rivulets mission, you are now just going to play as Rivulets with like high mobility. In Artificer's mission, you're just going to play as Artificer with the double jumps, you know. And those are the only abilities you're gonna have. So actually, I'm kind of interested in trying out those speedruns. So I'd never really wanted to do them before. Some of them I think are still being kind of annoying. Like Artificer's mission is to kill a bunch of scavengers. So combat like that, not the most interesting thing to speedrun, in my opinion. Hunters seems kind of uninteresting. More movement I have to learn here. No, why did you do that? I know why I did that, actually. Oh, if you do an AI hop, you actually hit the ceiling there. So don't do that. Because every other time I did a slide bounce there, I was thinking, oh, you can probably do an AI hop and do that faster. I was wrong. So yeah, I think I actually want to do some speedruns of those missions soon. I'll have a look over them and see which ones seem appealing. I think I might actually want to do the Rivulet one. That's where you collect a bunch of items and shelters while the centipede is chasing you down. We need to see anyway. Oh. Okay, a reason to see. I just have no idea where there's a platform somewhere here. There it is. I just didn't know where it was. You can probably do wall bounces in this room. You can probably do a plunk in this room. But I can't see, so I don't know. You can also do a backflip if you feel like it. I feel like that I felt a lot more motivation to do these speedruns. Like I'm interested in doing art in Ascension percent again as like at pilgrimage percent. Oh, come on. I sent this call Ascension percent on accident. I want to speed an Artificer. That'll be fun. Well, that's a nice slide bounce right there. I've actually had some promising Artificer runs off stream, but I haven't been able to finish any of them. Hello? Do you want to let me start? Okay, I think it was automatically making me starve, which me actually trying to starve on purpose was preventing that. I want to speedrun Artificer. No, actually, like some runs that I've done are actually like pretty fun. The main problem with Artificer is the very end of the run and the very start of the run. Every attempt, at the start of every attempt, if you want to get a vulture mask, which I do, you need to try to kill a vulture, or at least like steal a mask from a vulture. And that room that you do it in is like the worst room. It has a bunch of vultures in it, so yeah, you want to see a vulture, but you don't want to see two vultures or a king vulture, you know. There's a red lizard, there's slime lizards, there's a red centipede, there's scavengers. There's 1,000 different ways to die. And that's even if you get the vulture mask, because that can be an annoying process too. And after that, the rest of the run is like not too bad up until the wall. And then wall and Metropolis have some awful creature spawns. And then the very end of Metropolis has a room full of scavengers they have to get past, and the Scat King, who is a difficult fight. I'm just gonna eat the popcorn playing here. So, like, there's a 50% chance that you die at the beginning of the run, and a 50% chance that you die at the end of the run. Plus a bunch of small chances that you die in any other location, just because of creatures or a movement mistake, all sorts of things. I don't know how much food I need here. I'm gonna go all the way. Not ideal. But I'm just bothered. I'm a little annoyed by something. Because the current world, if you go onto speedrun.com and you look at the Artificer world record, it is currently at 24 minutes, I believe. However, if you somehow care about this, if you look at one of my streams in the past, I did some Artificer speedruns and I got a time of like 23 minutes. So about a minute faster than world record. I never uploaded that run. This video.com, maybe I should, I don't know. I just didn't really feel like it. Because it's also a run that has a bunch of mistakes in it. Like, I could do a better run than this. But I never did. But now people think that 24 is world record when it isn't. Well, it is officially, but like, I know that a better time is possible. But more than that, actually, I know that a significantly better time is possible, around 21 minutes. So some failed runs that I've had, some testing runs that I've done with no creatures, a better time is absolutely possible. So I just want to get that time, you know. The fact that world record is potentially like 3 or 4 minutes away from what's possible, it bothered me. I know that like such an improvement is just sitting there, you know. Because one way to run Artificer's 4% is to take shelters often, right? Because you're likely to die. There's a bunch of creatures, a bunch of scavengers that want to kill you. So take shelters. And if you die, you just keep going, you know? And a lot of people had this approach. And I think that maybe even the world record takes the shelter. I don't know. I haven't watched the whole thing. Maybe I should. But I wanted to see, okay, you can make it to the wall before it starts raining. And if you do that, then the rain is not going to be a problem, right? You do need to take a shelter once to exit out of the game. So take a shelter, go to Pebbles, exit out, and you come back with the Metropolis gate open. Yeah, you can. Okay, doing it in one cycle and doing it without deaths are two different things. One cycle requires a completely different route because you need to enter Pebbles from Underhang and then exit into the wall, right? If you enter Pebbles from the wall, you can't go back through the same gate without sheltering. So there's an entirely different route that you have to take there. Yeah, you can't also do that run deathless. I mean, if you die, you just restart from the very beginning anyways, so they're kind of the same thing. But I wanted to see, you know, taking the optimal speedrun route, can you do it without any deaths? And if you're not going to die, well, there's no reason to take shelters or to eat food, so there's like a bunch of other time saves added onto that. The problem, however, is the last like 3 rooms of the run are the hardest, and there's also a shelter right before them, so a lot of people like to take that shelter. Take the shelter, then probably die to the scavengers maybe a few times, but eventually you'll make it through, and you'll probably have a good time, you know. It's just not worth probably dying to the very end several times in a row at the end of every single speedrun attempt, which is exactly what I'm trying to do. That's the main problem with speedrunning Artificer. maybe this time is possible. Maybe it's not too hard to get there, but then the run is probably going to end at the very end. Of course, that always happens. You're probably going to die before making it to the very end. So it's very grindy. We're just grinding attempts until you get the perfect run. And then not only do you have to not die to the very end, but you have to actually not, you have to get really lucky with creatures, because scavengers can show up on the wall in multiple places in Metropolis. Other creatures can get in the way, they can try to steal your scav body. There's a bunch of different ways that you can be slowed down by creatures. So you need to get very lucky, and you need to not die at the end, which is kind of the same thing. So, but I kind of want to do it. I just want to have that run, you know. Actually, I don't even care if it's me that does that run. If someone else had got the perfect artificer run, I'd be just as happy, and I would not. I mean, it'd be nice that I wouldn't have to do it. But it's not exactly that I want to be the one to get like the artificer world record. I just want someone to get it because I know it's there, you know. It's just like, who is gonna have the motivation to do all the attempts required to get that lucky? And maybe I'm gonna be that person. There was kind of a little spike in interest in Artificer recently because of that person who made the fake run that got about 20 minutes, which actually might be a possible time. A little bit above 20 minutes, but that's also like absurd. Some people kind of got a little interested in Artificer again, but then they immediately gave up because of how demoralizing it is to die at the very beginning 100 times and then die at the very end. But I think I'm doing streams actually helps with doing attempts. So I almost overshot that. Because when I'm streaming, I kind of have to like stay focused on this, right? It's not like I like take breaks or get distracted with other stuff. When I'm streaming, this is the one thing that I'm doing, right? So if I speedrun Artificers, then it's like 2 or 3 hours straight of just doing attempts, right? With no distractions. Whereas if I'm doing it off stream, it's easy to just like do something else and then never like come back to doing attempts, which might be healthy. Maybe it's healthy not to just do attempts for 3 hours straight. But if I actually want to get that time, then I kind of have to do that. But also like having like people to talk to, kind of a distraction. You know, it's not just grinding attempts. It's like I'm also talking to people. Scav King is such an annoying boss fight. First try, okay. My experience with Scav King. My very first attempt of the boss fight, I beat him first try with an electric spear. And then every other time that I fought him, it's been difficult. I don't know if the electric spear made a difference or it's because of something else that I did. Because the electric spear doesn't even do anything when he has armor. But I learned something very important recently. Apparently, Scav King can only take damage to his armor once every second. So if you throw 2 spears at him, within a second, only 1 spear is going to do damage. Which I think might be the reason why his armor felt inconsistent. So you would throw like 3 spears at him within like 1 second, but only one of them would deal damage, so it felt like the other 2 didn't do anything. But if you just delayed the spear throws by a little bit, you would actually be able to get that damage. Of course, it means that you're limited to being able to break the armor in 3 seconds, and letting him... You can't just stand there for 3 seconds throwing spears at him, because eventually he's going to throw a spear back. So you need to constantly be stun him, throw through like 2 spears, stun him again, throw the last spear, and then you need to actually deal enough damage to finish him off. And ideally you would have a explosive spear prepared for that, but that's really hard to keep organized. Ooh, I like that slide. When in the chaos of the fights, you can't easily have an explosive spear just prepared right there. I actually want to test or have a look real quick at I think that the shelter down here is faster. I'm pretty sure. Especially since you can do some movement, like a wall pounce here. A wall pounce here. A wall pounce here. Maybe that's not faster. Also do wall pounces here if you're like godlike. I don't think I am. So all these poles on the walls make it very difficult. I guess you could just do like one jump at a time. It wouldn't be that much slower. Well, it'd be slower, but it'd be faster than climbing up normally. Debating if it's worth it to get food so that you don't have to starve. Would that make a big difference? I don't know. Actually, it would, because it's easier to die in chimney. So you starve here, get the echo, go back to chimney, die, passage back to drainage. It all works out, see? You also get survivor here, in case you don't get martyr for whatever reason. But also, don't jump at all. I was actually debating between streaming Rivulet or Artificer. Because, like, for Rivulet, I'd have to... Oh. I did a slide pounce and then became exhausted mid-pounce, so I just got flung. So don't do that. Because for this run, I'm doing a bunch of testing to figure out what the best route is. I need to practice it a bunch. Whereas for Artificer, I've already done all the practice. I can just do attempts from the start. That was a weak wall pounce. Is that how it is when I'm starving? Oh, shoot. The timer went backwards. This is actually exactly what I was talking about earlier with the starving messing up the timer. So this might be like a super fast time, but that's just because starving messed things up. I'll have to time it afterwards. Just real fun. Mouse strats. I think the shelter is actually by far the best one to take in drainage. It's the one you take right at the start anyway. But also it's only like actually a few rooms away from filtration. Even if those few rooms are very long, really it goes through them very fast. Don't plink here on accident. I've actually gone through these rooms in the 80% run. Because 80% Rivulet is the thing. Oh, shoot. I was thinking I could just hop in here to get air. I don't know where the best place to take air is, or if it's just not swim boost so much. Conserve it. I don't know. You might just be able to make it all the way over here. Just by swim boosting constantly. But also, it's really nice how you're lined up from the start. Otherwise, you kind of start wiggling around erratically. You know, a plink is possible here. Actually, maybe not. The water is pretty shallow. You know what? Let's just pretend that it's not, so I don't have to do a third plink in this run. Also, remember from earlier, I spent like a minute not knowing how to plink, so in an ideal run, remove a minute from the time. I'd like to go all the way back up, please. And actually, it'd be ideal if it started raining right now. But I think there's 2 minutes left. That I can probably make it through filtration before then. If it was raining right now, then the mole lizards would be a problem. No reason to eat that, really. Hold up, I heard that taking this pipe is faster. Maybe it is. No, you go... Right, you go down from the start. Then you go all the way across. You can just go down from the beginning and then wall jump up here. You don't have to deal with as many moles. Or mole lizards, or black lizards, whatever you want to call them. I don't know why these are the only lizards I don't call by... I don't say that they're lizards. I can say eel lizard, I say... Well, I guess salamander is the other one. Moles and salamanders are the only non-lizards. Even though mole lizards count towards Dragon Slayer, whereas salamanders don't. Not very consistent. If I wanted to go by that, I'd say black lizards and then salamanders and eels as non-lizards, because they don't give Dragon Slayer. So this is gonna be an interesting run, because I think this is gonna be, it's gonna look a lot faster, but I don't know if it's faster because the timer is inaccurate. I don't think salamanders give Dragon Slayer. I think it was an expedition that I did recently. Yeah, I had Dragon Slayer as one of the challenges, and I started in drainage, but I wasn't able to get it from eels or salamanders. I might have only killed the eels and assumed that it carried over to salamanders too, so I guess I'm not entirely confident. What's annoying about this is I did this practice run to compare this alternate routes, but now I don't even know how they compare at all, because the timer is different. Please just cooperate with me. I think I just died. That was a fast fall, that's why I died from lower down. That sucks. Well, maybe that accounts for the timer being inaccurate. I actually kind of assumed that that would make a fast fall happen. I don't know why I continued with that. Like, I'm probably gonna fast fall here, and then I did, and I died. So, actually, I knew it was gonna happen in advance. She did that there in her first playthrough. Fortunate. You have to go all the way through the depths again, which you probably spent a long time on your first playthrough. I remember the first time I went through the depths, I totally used the map the whole time. I tried to like calculate the fastest way to get through the region. And then I never discovered all the other rooms in the depths that are actually like kind of interesting, but also confusing. I know that some people get stuck in the depths for a long time. The way that you're supposed to go is very obvious. Like you have to do a spear pin somewhere. Maybe in 2 locations, actually. How often are you really required to use spear pinning in vanilla? It's like going to memory crypts from shaded, that requires you to do spear pinning. Where else? Is there like, it's not really a tutorial for it. It just kind of gives you the spears and a wall, and it's like, figure it out. Also, going from the wall to pebbles requires a spear pin. It actually doesn't, but unless you're crazy. Spent 7 minutes trying to find a spear for that one jump. You can actually do it without a spear at all. It's another really jank tech that I haven't used in a while. Kind of part of why I really like the movement in Rain World. Some people think that too much movement tech is a bad thing for a game. That there's just unnecessary movements that isn't necessary and it shouldn't be in the game. But actually, really like it. I think it kind of helps the lifespan of the game, because people are always finding new movements and new places to use that movement. Okay, how do you do this room actually? You just can't go down there. Actually, oh, you're supposed to go here first. I remember now. There's something really fun about finding uses for really obscure movement tech. To practice something and then find out that it's actually useful in like one place in the whole world. And then every time you go to that place, you do that movement tech and you're like, yes, it's worth it. Yeah, you don't need it to beat the game. You don't, like, if it was removed from the game, not much would change. But also, I don't think it really hurts anyone. The fact that some obscure movement tech is in the game doesn't affect anyone who doesn't know about the tech. Other than maybe speedrunners, who kind of... So there's sometimes this kind of tech can really give you an advantage in a speedrun, and if you don't know that tech, or if you struggle to learn it, or if you're using a controller and you can't do that tech easily on a controller compared to keyboard, there can be some just like unfair advantages there. But it's very similar to like Mario. Mario 64 has all sorts of crazy tech, like frame perfect stuff, and, like tasks only, and people don't complain about that. It's like the game is known for that kind of stuff, you know. It's known for like the parallel universes, which parallel universes are completely irrelevant to everyone who plays the game, except for like the 10 people who make tasks for the game, right? It's probably more than 10. What am I saying? That game is so popular. But people still love to talk about parallel universes because it's such a crazy idea. Something like that can actually be practical in a speedrun, even if it is a task. And it's the same for Rain World. There is stuff that is pretty much task only, but also some of it can be possible if you do enough practice. Stuff like AI hops, or crawl turn vaults, or I don't know, other stuff. Eventually, it can become possible. Like most of it isn't even like tasks only. That's actually practical. I'll be honest though, I have no idea how to time in-game time. So even if I wanted to see how long the speedrun would take without the death, or without the starved weirdness, I wouldn't know how to. I guess I would just take the time that starving removed and just add it back. That'd probably be the easiest way. So I'm pretty sure that it gives you free time in shaded and in... No, I'm gonna do these calculations right now on this stream. Right after it gets the void seed. And also, most of the extra movement tech in Rain World is totally unintentional. Just kind of consequences of the movement system and the physics. It's not like the devs added all this jank and then expected players to actually make use of it. No, it just kind of ended up being there, and the devs were like, all right, well, I guess we're not changing the physics. They probably don't mind all the movement tech that we found, unless some of it was like, unless some sort of movement tech that was found would be like incredibly easy and incredibly powerful at the same time, then maybe that's like worth removing. Otherwise, like, why not keep it in the game? It's just like some cool tech that some people get to do, but it's completely useless or actually useful in a really obscure place in some speedrun. Like what I just did there, that's an instant pounce. If you do the inputs for a slide bounce the very first frame possible, you will do the slide bounce without even starting the slide. You'll basically just do the bounce instantly. It's only possible, and it's reasonably possible in the depths and with a mushroom because time is slowed down. Otherwise, it's pretty much impossible. You literally need to press jump twice in 2 frames within 50 milliseconds. Hello, welcome to the stream. Welcome to math. I'm doing some math. Actually, I'm not doing any math. I'm just putting it into a calculator. So I just did a speedrun where I got the shaded echo, shaded chimney, wall, and sky islands echo. However, I used stars to get the echoes, and starving messes up with the timer. And so I want to recalculate the time of the speedrun to account for the jank. So, timers seem to work fine. So getting it, wow, okay, hold up. So when I talked to the echo, it was 12 minutes and 7 seconds. And then when waking up, it was 6 minutes and 42 seconds. So it got rid of 5 minutes. Later in the run, I starved to get the Sky Islands echo. It went from 17:32 actually 33 to 14:40. So another 2 minutes added on. 253 plus 525. Let's add those together. So that's like 8 extra minutes that were not accounted for. I want to take out the time from the death to get an accurate feel for how long the whole run is. So I died in the depths because I fast fell. Let's see how much time I lost there. So when I died, it was 20 minutes and 18 seconds. And then when I got there again after dying, it's the same spot. It was 25:24. So I lost 5 minutes. So subtract 5 minutes from the final time. Actually, I can subtract it from this time. So 8, 18, 5, 6. So basically add 3 minutes to the time that I got here, which is 27. Which is 24 or 26. Hopefully this is interesting at all. So, okay, I think this actually might be a viable run, but because of all the stars, it really messes with the timer, so I'll have to talk with the speedrun moderators to see how this should be timed properly. But if you count for it, if I did the math correctly, which maybe I made a mistake somewhere using the calculators, but this might be good. Also, like, subtract a minute because I did not do gutter movement correctly. And also, as a reference, So the thing is that the old run that I'm comparing against was like several months ago. So I've improved since then. So maybe if I just do the normal run again, it would be way better than that. I would have to just compare just doing the runs normally. So 24, 26. That actually gives me an idea to just do the normal route that I did before. So we're actually playing again. Crazy idea, I know. Oh, the pole plants are double spawn? How does that even work? Is it just two stacked on top of each other? I think that actually happens in enemy randos a whole lot. If there's ever multiple creatures sharing one shelter and they all get randomized into a pole plant, it just is a stack of pole plants. So right now I'm doing a run with no creatures, following the old speedrun route that I took way back like 6 months ago. This will see, based on the improvements that I've made to the route since then, that overlap with story percent, what kind of time that I can get. Also, ignoring creatures. So if this is like a 22-minute time, then all the other routing that I just did with shaded is completely irrelevant. But also, that was such a new route that there's probably tons of movement to improve in that run too. So I kind of want to look into both of them. The fun thing is that a bunch of pole plants just look like one pole plant when they look like poles. So when they're disguised, they all look like just one. But then the moment there's any sort of disturbance or like a creature touches them or something, then suddenly you realize that there's like 10 of them. You grab one and they all activate. Yep. About to get moving. After this starve. Now this one doesn't make use of passages or like any starving at all. So you actually want to move forward the whole time. Oh yeah, white lizards like to camp you. They aren't really fond of following you and chasing you down. So if they're blocking the path, then they're not going to want to move out of the way. They just wait for you to... They wait for you to approach them. Okay, surge. That was very good. I don't know the splits for this yet, so I don't really know how this compares with the older one. Thought the white flashing was the bat fly. The opposite, when you see a bunch of bat flies and you think it's a white lizard. Or it's a white lizard, but you think it's a bunch of bat flies. Or scavengers, there's a whole bunch of options. This is actually quite a tight cycle because I have to make it all the way up to Chimney. Well, I'm in Chimney right now. I need to make it to the top of Chimney in this cycle, which is actually pretty much the same difficulty as making it to the wall in one cycle. You know what? I never do the point here normally, so I'm not going to start doing it. Even though the new route that I find might have 2 or 3 planks in it overall. Record number of planks for one speedrun. Should stream something that I don't know. Unless that's like an acronym for something that I do know. Oops. It would be more interesting if I used the alternate move, or if the alternate route was faster, because it means that it wouldn't be exactly the same as story percent, right? Oh, Celeste. I haven't played much of Celeste outside of, well, I've played all of like the base game content. I haven't looked at any mods. Not really a fan of how mods like that really focus on the difficulty in the game. Like, oh, we need to keep making harder and harder versions forever and ever. We have a C side, we need a D side, we need an E side, or whatever side, you know. And then with one dash, like, let's take this very challenging only like 3 people actually being, okay, so you're not actually being genuine and wanting me to do that challenge. How many sides do you need? It's like a multi-dimensional object. I don't really know about Celeste, because like the base game is very good. One of like the best games ever. But also I've already played it, and I feel like a lot of the impact of the game is kind of just gone, because I'll just speedrun the whole thing. It's like, well, that was something. Like the story of the game is the same as your experience with the game, you know? The fact that you're trying to beat this game that might be very difficult and like higher than your skill level. But with enough practice, with enough determination. Oh gosh, I never tell reference. But eventually you will be able to beat it, you know, with enough attempts, with enough practice and trying, you know? And that kind of parallels the struggles of the main character. You know, that's kind of the whole purpose of the game. Like it's difficult for this character, it might be difficult for you outside of the game too. But the game itself is difficult to represent that. But then once you beat it, once you've like played the game a lot and you've beaten all like the seasides and whatever, it's like, well, now the game is easy, so it's not really the story and well, first of all, the story won't be as impactful once you've already seen it, of course, but now the game is easy and it's like, well, it doesn't really mean anything anymore. They're making a new game, right? Those developers. That's like a totally different style of game, not a platformer, but like some sort of something else. But I'll probably play that game. Okay, that's a mistake. Almost made it. Oh, however, if you throw those rocks, then you don't have anything against the white lizards in the next room. So you might want to hold on to one just to defend yourself. There's the spear up there. I mean, there's no creatures anyway, but in a real run, you would have to worry about that. I like to think of Celeste as kind of the best example, or the closest you can get to a perfect game. Whoops. Okay, let's get my major skill issue. I don't even know if doing those backflips is the fastest way to do that, but it feels fast. Alright, thanks for stopping by. See ya. Also, I did play one Celeste mod, the Strawberry Jam collab. I think there's a lot of those collabs, which is just a bunch of people getting together to make a bunch of levels. But I'm not really... I didn't really like it. I think that some of the earlier levels was fine, but some of them were kind of awful, and then some of the more difficult ones were awful. Were also awful. And also, all the levels like to make their own mechanics. So you would enter a level, some new mechanic would be introduced, and you have to learn that mechanic and get used to it and explore it throughout the level, and then that would be it, you know. And that is how a lot of Celeste levels work, right? New mechanics. New mechanics that are explored throughout the level, and then you move on, right? But then Celeste also brings those mechanics back with the B-sides, with the C-sides, with some later levels like Summit and Core, that Farewell. They like to bring back mechanics from old levels, so you're dealing with stuff that you're already familiar with, right? Whereas every single mod wanted to introduce something new, and you never return to those mechanics again. So if there's a cool mechanic, you only get to play around with it once, and if there's a bad mechanic, well, I guess it's nice that it's over quickly. But also, you're gonna spend a lot more time on the levels that you don't like because they're more difficult, and you probably don't like them because you struggle to understand the mechanics or something. But I kind of saw it as a mod, and I expected it to expand upon the base game and not just reinvent the whole game. It's cool that there's that level of quality. Like, the mod is definitely very high quality, but it didn't really add too much more vanilla stuff and just wanted to be its entirely own unique thing. Some of the levels I did not like. They were just not fun. Mostly like the more puzzled stuff. Because Celeste has a little bit of platforming, or a little bit of platforming, a little bit of puzzles, but it's mostly like a room that you need to figure out how to move through. Which like crystals should you get first? Which should you go like up or down? And after a little bit, you figure it out, and it's not a problem. But some of those like modded levels were all about the puzzles. Like you had to figure out like everything about it, and it kind of just became fan. I don't really enjoy the puzzles. I don't know if it's because they were bad puzzles or because I just don't like puzzles in general, or like I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's food, right? I think my food for this area was always just bat flies. Like eat those 2 fruit at the beginning and then just eat bat flies if I grab them. Then eat food by the end of this. Like, there's 1 bat fly. There's 2. Tried to do fast pole climb and I immediately regretted it. If I messed it up, I would fall to my death. Let's do any extended slides there, so not really happy about that. I don't know what that is. It sounds like it'd be like a second account or something. I still don't know how to do this room. It's just kind of a mess. Falling down. Surely instant whiplash will be useful. If only. Instant whiplashes might actually make whiplashes a useful mechanic if they were humanly possible. Oh shoot, I should have eaten that butterfly. Now it's just disintegrated. Evaporated. Rainbow. Nope, still can't make it up there. Okay, honestly, I don't even know what you're talking about anymore. No, don't do that kind of wall bounce. Goodness, that was close. I don't know why I'm getting that. You know what? For as much as I've been wall bouncing, every time I play Rivulet, I still don't fully understand how they work. Oh shoot! I didn't even talk to him. Oh, so you guys don't even know what you're talking about. I think that's usually how it is, right? Speaking in foreign languages, please don't actually, because I can't moderate chat messages that I can't understand. And I'm sure you guys wouldn't say anything bad, but I kind of need to keep it to English. I didn't even talk her. Did I cut out in the middle of a sentence there? It's crazy how different this route is. Like the one that I did earlier, like you go to shaded, you go to industrial. Some side paths just don't work out. And it ends in Skylands, but this one you go all the way through Skylands to Farmers to Subterranean. A completely different side of filtration system. Oh, do I need food? No, yeah, there's centipedes right here. Hello. Just could have gotten the other one. Actually, it's not a big deal. I'm just popping the bubble fruit by passing by Rivulet's aura. This might be faster going up there instead of going through the water. Jump straight into the worm grass. Not too much, luckily. That's the kind of wall bounce you don't want to get. You know, some people play Downpour, and they accidentally wall pounce all the time, and they complain about it. Why am I launching into space when I don't want to? I'd be pretty mad too if I got sent into orbit without my consent. But also, I know how strong wall pounces can be, so it's a little bit sad that people don't even consider them. Like, wall pounces, they just slow you down. They're just annoying. I'm gonna get rid of them. I'm gonna turn them off. You can turn off wall pounces if you want, but understand that what you're missing out on. All right. Actually, I don't know which one's faster. Actually, it is probably faster to stay on the shelter on the other side of this gate. Why not aquarium? Where they recently game Aquaria, where it's just Terraria but underwater. In a quote bot, I'm not really sure about adding any types of bots at all. I'm sure that if I talk about bots, someone's gonna show up and be like, I know how to make a bot, I can do everything for you. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like it just kind of get in the way. Sometimes, I feel like there's streamers who have a lot of like bots and little games and other stuff going on that just kind of distract from the actual stream. Like, you know that it's because the stream actually isn't that interesting and they're just trying to add stuff to keep people engaged. I'd rather just like stay away from all of that. I don't want to like try to keep people in the stream by adding little games in the chat. Even if you literally just said a quote bot, like a bot that you just type in quotes, then you know I know what that is, but I don't know. Seems unnecessary. That was clean. This is where having no creatures makes the biggest difference, because there's a ton of creatures in Subterranean. So this is very unrealistic. There's this guy still. Don't accidentally blink there. Also, there's a caramel lizard in this area. Can be annoying. They camp this pipe right here, or any of the other parts of this room. I like that tunnel right there. It's such a fast way to get down. that room, but it's kind of hard to see it. It's like a little secret hidden path shortcut. There might be something you can do there where you do an extended slide, fall off the platform, and then continue the extended slide once you enter the tunnel. And it's easy as Gourmand, because their slide is crazy. I don't know if it's possible as Rivulet. Trying to solve pretty good. Like, there's been mistakes, but it's like pretty smooth all around. Of course, any run without creatures is going to be pretty smooth, but... Now, how will I do here? Nope. Nope. Maybe? Yes. It's always scary, too. Once you jump off the pole, you don't even know if you're going to make it. That was the weakest EI hop ever. That was better. Jumped over the pole. So actually, looking at the time right now, I think that the other route is definitely faster. This is approaching the time of the other one, and I haven't even made it close to the Void Sea. And that run had plenty of mistakes, like totally failing the gutter. Because there's a bunch of points there that I took several attempts to do. Just movement in general I wasn't familiar with. Whereas this run I've practiced. I've done several times before, and it still might be slower than that run with mistakes, which was pretty cool. Although all the starving jank still has to be figured out. Nope, don't do that. I did that last time too. The same exact wall pounds. I do one here. Yes. I love how it's so exaggerated as Rivulet. You go so far on a slide pounce. Doing it from a standstill looks really weird. Just suddenly you jump really far. They're not even too hard to do. Whoops. Apparently jumping normally is hard though. The mob vote confuses me. They put so much effort into the whole production, into giving us each creature their own spotlight. Creatures, they don't say creatures in Minecraft. Each mob, how to show off all those features, all the things it can do. They might even show it off in game. And then, after it's all done, they get rid of the two of them. If you're gonna do a mob vote, at least just show the concept art for them. Just that you can only need to develop one of them, right? But instead they put all this effort into all three mobs just to get rid of two of them. Now actually, this is interesting. This is an interesting time. So this time that I got right now, 26:10. I forget what the other time is. So the current world record in this category, by me, is 26:32. So I only saved 22 seconds from that run, which is honestly a lot less than I expected. But also, I haven't really practiced this too much, the movement in drainage system in the gutter, all that movement is better. But everywhere else, like I'm actually probably rusty compared to those runs that I did before. But considering this is possibly 2 minutes slower than the alternate route, I think that one's definitely faster. Because that run had mistakes in it. Ways, and like it's a completely new route for me, so if I were to practice that a whole bunch, get familiar with the new movement, get better at planks, all of that, that'd be a bit of time. That's cool. Even never, even though you never play Minecraft and never voted. I play song. I don't know about playing any music that isn't from Rain World. It always feels like it works. It's like I'm already playing Rain World. I can just play Rain World music on top of it, but I don't know about. I mean, I don't know. The other route is just it's so weird. You know, actually, I'm feeling confident in the shaded routes. But there's a ton of practice to do, so I'm gonna look into some of the rooms. Oh, the playlist is what you're referring to. Oh, as what's sentient. Now, I did say earlier that it's cool that this run is different than story percent, but also it's different from story percent, so it's a whole lot of new stuff to learn. If it was the same as story percent, I wouldn't have to learn any new movement. I would just do what I'm used to. Still gonna have to karma catch. Maybe I should have turned off karma requirements, but I wanted to keep the timer accurate. As accurate as it can be with all the starving this run has. Also, it probably would be worth it to figure out how starving works as Rivulet. There's like a lot of optimization there potentially. It's like if you do a slide pounce, how much stamina does that drain compared to just walking, you know, or just doing one jumper, you know, this and that. It's like, is the slide pounce worth it for the distance that you get, even if it costs a lot of stamina, like that kind of testing. I feel like if you took all the messages ever typed in my live stream chats and you fed it to an AI as training data, the AI would have like a mental breakdown. It would be too different. What's that like? There's like this thing where you have like multiple personalities. That's what the AI would have. I guess that kind of makes sense if you try to get it to emulate a chat room with multiple different people. It might act like multiple different people. Okay, so for this run, I'm not exactly just doing the whole run. I want to spend some time in each room and really figure out how to do movement in that room the best. No wall punts is here. Actually no, I was about to say that this run starts the same, but the moment we get to the gutter, it's all different. It was actually those new gutter rooms that I struggled with the most. I guess there's only so much Rain World to talk about, you know. If you want to stay on topic the whole time and just talk about this speedrun, like how much is there to say, really? If you just talk about Rain World in general, we've been doing that for like this whole time, you know. But also, sometimes when you guys are talking about some random topic, I am not really sure the best way to be involved myself. Like, I just don't really have anything to say. Also, welcome to the stream. So there's a blink right here. I totally messed that up. This one's, I think, more difficult than the other one. Okay, I don't know. I think I blinked like perfectly horizontally. That was, no. It needs to be a little bit more to the left. It's a lot of fun, isn't it? Maybe I should do it like here. Ooh, that might work better. Because this turret's like right on top of this pole where you want to do it. I don't want the pole to get in the way. That just kills you. Just immediately slammed into the wall. That's actual brain damage this time. Should I play the spooky character? Isn't there a slugcat on the workshop that's like kind of horror themed? I don't want to play that, but I think that it's like still in progress. I don't know if they're gonna finish it in time. If I want to do a stream then. But I don't even remember what they're called. Pitch Black. Karma is a mechanic in Rain World that prevents you from accessing regions that you are not prepared for. It's like having pursuit burden. I was always disappointed by the pursuit burden. It should be more scary. You should be like, you should always be in fear permanently. So maybe it would be cool. Okay, genuinely, could you like settle down with the caps lock? Just a little bit. Can I not? Hello? Oh, because it wants me to shelter normally. You can't starve when you have enough food. There's that one song in the OST that is not used in game. Well, it wasn't used in game. The one that was supposed to be played like in some DLL room where you're like trapped with this DLL. I forget what the song is called. It's like that one really intense one. And I think that song actually plays when you are pursued. So the little pop-up will, the thing will show up on the bottom. It's like you are being pursued, and the song starts playing, and then like a red centipede shows up. I remember that. Although it's only happened once. I don't know why the song doesn't play consistently. Maybe it only plays if some other song isn't playing, so that only happens very rarely. But I'd like someone else to confirm that that happens. Otherwise, I'm... No, it's a Rivulet song. Didn't say anything about the song. Hold up, I might have remembered it. Hold up, I gotta make the sound work. That's enough of that. I feel like I've heard that song play in-game before. Because of the Pursued version. But then you realize that you can just like pipe juke it, or just like move to the room that it can't access, or like there's like a bunch of ways to quickly outrun the pursuer, and then it becomes a non-threat, and it's like, well, that's not that bad really. I kind of wish it was worse. Something that you really have to worry about at all times, like they could be around the corner. But the moment you like run past them, it's really hard for them to catch up. As long as you just keep moving in one direction. Try to dig in the code. I've only heard it once, and I might be hallucinating. Because apparently I've also seen a red lizard in being the thing that pursues you. But apparently it's always a red centipede, so... Maybe it only happens if it's a red lizard, and that was like a super jank, rare occurrence. Have I played Cuphead? Yes, I have. I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy it. Not even because, well, actually because yes, it was difficult, but like, difficulty in games is not like much of a problem for me. But I feel like it was just like a weird kind of difficulty. Because it was, it's like a bullet hell, but it's a platformer, so you don't have much control over your vertical position. Plus your hitbox is huge. The hitbox of some projectiles is really big. You are really big. You fall very quickly, and you don't jump very high. Like a bunch of things that kind of make movement really weird, and I totally went the wrong direction. I'm just going based on muscle memory. I was supposed to learn the other way. I'm sure I could play Cuphead today and be a lot better at the game, and it would be less annoying. But I'm not really a fan of platformer bullet hells, and if it is a bullet hell, I'd like it to have very small hitboxes. It's also the kind of bullet hell where it isn't like a bunch of bullets that you have to dodge, it's like a bunch of distinct attacks that happen to overlap. I usually don't like that kind of design. Okay, this wall bounce kind of feels inconsistent. Like in an actual bullet hell, it's a bunch of bullets, and that's it. That's the one thing that you need to be worried about. And yeah, dodging in between those bullets is difficult. But at least you can see like everything. Everything that's going on is right in front of you. Whereas with overlapping attacks, you might be focusing on dodging one set of projectiles when then all of a sudden some other set of projectiles comes out of nowhere and hits you. And yeah, eventually like that is part of learning the boss fight, getting used to like all those different types of attacks and like preparing to dodge them in time. I'm not really a fan of it compared to like the way other bullet hells work. I didn't hold up in time. I have a similar complaint about Hollow Knight and Terraria. You've already heard me talk about Terraria a bunch. This one's actually kind of fun because you can perfectly line up your position before doing the plank. Yeah, Moonlord. Moonlord feels like a Cuphead boss. Which is like a bunch of random attacks from all directions. Except you can fly, so it's actually easier. Cuphead also likes to mess around with your arena. I usually prefer easy arena with a difficult boss, you know, where you're not really worried about the environment at all. You're just worried about dodging the boss's attacks. But Cuphead likes to make the arena difficult too, so there's environmental hazards you have to worry about. Your platform's gonna be changing all over the place. So it means you have to worry about both things, like which platforms are you jumping to, and which attacks you need to dodge. And sometimes they overlap in unfortunate ways, where there's no platform to jump to and you just have to take damage for no reason. Trace a bullet hell, sorta. In the late game, it kind of becomes more bullet hell-ish. But it is a game about dodging attacks, whether it be from like a big eyeball charging at you or like a bunch of lasers and stuff. Like a bullet hell, you can either refer to bullet hells as those games where the screen is just covered in bullets and there's like this tiny little gap you can pass through. And there are games like that, but also there's games where there's a bunch of projectiles you have to dodge, but you might not really call it a bullet hell like those other games. But I'm saying bullet hell in a general sense of there's a boss or some enemies and they're shooting a bunch at you and you need to dodge it. Bullet hells also give you a very small hitbox, so even like bullets can still overlap with your character, and you will not take damage, unless it gets like it overlaps with the very center. If they were shooting at you and you didn't have to dodge it, yeah. But actually there are some games where that is the case. Like first-person shooters, you can't dodge getting shot at. You can try to, like in a PvP game, you can try to move around to make it harder to hit you, but you can't react to a projectile coming at you, dodge it. You just get hit, you just take damage, and the entire game has to change to account for that, right? Because you'd be expected to take damage all the time, so you should be able to recover health easily. You should be able to not die instantly. Whereas in a bullet hell, you might have a limited number of hits you can take, or health might be a lot more valuable, so you do need to focus about dodging everything that you can. But in games like Terraria or Cuphead, where it kind of tries to lean a little bit more into that bullet hell idea of having a boss shoot a bunch of stuff at you that you need to dodge, and your health is a limited value. Like in Cuphead, you only take like 3 or 4 hits of damage. That's also how Terraria is on the higher difficulties against the harder bosses. Please. But unlike those other bullet hells, your movement isn't as precise. There's a little bit of acceleration In Terraria, there's acceleration. There's also like dashes that change your speed a lot. And jumping is the main thing. So, whoops, this is the wrong direction. Cherry bosses when you find a circle around them, yeah. In a bow hell, you have complete control over your exact position at all times. Whereas in Terraria, if you are on the ground and you want to move vertically, you have to jump, right? But once you jump, if you don't have wings or a double jump or whatever, so this is actually more like Cuphead, you know? So if you jump, your only option is to fall. That is the only thing that can happen. Maybe you can do a double jump or a dash to delay that, but eventually you're gonna have to come back to the ground. And if there's an attack down there, you just have to take damage. And the only way to avoid it is just to know in advance not to jump in that situation. And it's the more delay there is between a mistake and the consequences of that mistake, the more annoying it is. If you move a little bit to the left and you take damage to bullets, then it's your mistake. It's like, oh, I shouldn't have moved there because there was a bullet right there. But if you jump and then 2 seconds later you land on something and take damage that you couldn't avoid, then it feels really annoying because you didn't realize that the jump that you did 2 seconds ago was what caused you to take damage. Just doing all sorts of rolls there. Or when it comes to different changing like arenas, if there's something in the environment that's dangerous, your position really matters, right? So if you're on the wrong side of the arena and you take damage because of it, there's nothing you can do to change that. The only way to prepare in that situation is to know in advance that the arena is going to change, and then move to the right position based on that, you know. So something that you can't really react to at all. I need to be food. You either know in advance to move to a specific position, or you take damage. And I guess that is like part of like Cuphead, right? You are kind of expected to do fights like over and over and over again, learn the patterns to get better at it. But that's still kind of annoying. Like obviously it makes sense to have to do a fight multiple times to get good enough at it to beat it. But also you should be able to try to avoid stuff. You should be able to try to avoid damage on your first like run through the boss. Like completely blind attacks that just like come out of nowhere are always annoying, even if you can memorize them and prepare for them, and you're like on like subsequent fights. Lots on school subjects that has literally nothing to do with Rain World or Cuphead or like anything actually. Here's back to the starving movement. I wonder if rolling is efficient, because that's the strategy as a gourmand, to roll everywhere you can. Kind of want to assume that rolling is also efficient when you're starving. Gosh, imagine starving as gourmand. Like this is the kind of movement that I'm doing, where I don't jump at all. But it's also very slow, so like how much jumping is allowed? So look at the timer right now. It went from 19 minutes right there down to 14 minutes, which might have been the time where I first slept in the shelter. So I slept in the shelter, went to the Echo, and then all that time that passed in between those events was just erased. Okay. I guess I'll just eat bat flies or something. That's annoying. More bat flies left to grab. The next room. I meant to throw the spear first so I could grab that bat fly. I need to get 3 bat fly now. Might be a problem. Rivulet doesn't really struggle with catching bat flies though, so. It does play. Oh, I forgot to activate that code. That's irrelevant though. Well, it's relevant, but it's a little unfortunate. So that's weird. It's probably some sort of weird set of circumstances that have to line up for that song to play. Maybe if the pursuer is exactly what triggers the threat music to increase. If you throw a boost up there, you can make it in one jump. And I spent a good, well, maybe like 20 minutes, like some time recently practicing AI hops. And I got good at it, but that's I guess that was because it was a really controlled setting. When you're just doing extended instant hops for like 10 minutes straight, you get good at it, but then the moment you need to spontaneously do one in the middle of a run, it's difficult. There's like pressure. And not only do you need to do the AI hop correctly, but you need to like chain it from like different movement. Do some sort of movement into the AI hop and do some sort of movement after it. You know when to do it, if you have a rock or spear, if you need to pick one up right before you do it. I'm sure that like couple % runners are great at it. Or any percent. You just don't really use them too much as Rivulet, even though the timing is actually easier. Head in the ceiling. What kind of movement is this? Find it hard to do spontaneous slide boosts. Slide boosts. Do you mean like this? So you mean a slide boost? Or do you mean extended slide? Like this. Extended slides are easy. Well, I feel like they become easy. It's mostly the order of the throw and jump inputs for the AI hop that I mess up. So I sometimes jump earlier than the throw input and I do a whiplash instead. It actually is really bad because you go backwards. Not in the expedition code. Very hard to do in console. I've been playing on controller recently, and extended slides and AI hops actually I felt really easy. Well, not easy, but a lot easier than I expected them to be. Because I was kind of thinking, well, all of a sudden direction changes, and on keyboard that's really easy, just like switch between directions instantaneously. instantaneously, very quickly. Compared to controller, we have to move the whole analog stick, which is what I was using. Why is this weird? Like, that's what I expect to happen. But I think I got used to doing extended slides and AI hops a lot sooner than I thought I would. When you throw backwards with the extended slide, you don't need to hold backwards and throw at the same time. You can slide, tap backwards, throw, and then hold forwards for the rest of the slide. There can be quite a big distance between the backwards and forward input. And you need to have a throw input between the two of them. You actually you can do the same thing for extended instant hops, but it's awkward to get used to if you've been doing it the other way. That's still kind of weird to do, even with the throw boost. Whoops. Really like the movement in this room. I think actually starting the slide in the first place is more difficult for me on controller. Just because you have to hit a specific angle to do it. And I'm very bad at hitting specific angles on controller. I guess I don't really have that much experience. Usually I prefer keyboard. Actually, mostly I prefer keyboard. Like actually, I played Hollow Knight with the controller, and then I switched to keyboard. Because I was kind of just curious, like, I've been playing controller this whole time, but I wonder what it'd be like to try keyboard. Actually, it's kind of the opposite of what I did for Rain World. Rain World, I was mostly used to playing it on keyboard. I was like, I wonder what it's like on a controller. And for Hollow Knight, it was the opposite, except I kind of just stuck with the keyboard. I think that if I were to play Hollow Knight right now, I would use keyboard. Mostly because up and down inputs are way easier. If there's something standing above you, and you want to stand still and up slash, you have to hold up, right? Up and attack. But if you don't hold up correctly straight, or directly straight up, then you will move to the side, obviously. If you hold diagonally up, you're gonna move. You're gonna hold up and then move diagonally, or you're gonna move forward at the same time, right? I'm also explaining this. And if you want to pogo, and you want to just pogo downwards and not move at all, then you need to hold exactly straight down. I'm just not great at doing that. But for keyboard, you just press up or down and you do that. I think I picked up the Batfly and tried to do an extended slide at the same time, and it just canceled the input. Yeah, some players use D-pads, and I'm sure you can get used to it, but it's awkward for me. It also kind of defeats the purpose of using a controller for Rain World, because you can do stuff like fast rolls or faster swimming on controller. The faster swimming is actually just impossible on keyboard. But the fast roll is what we use the fast roll button mod for. I don't even have food. I was looking at chat. What's taking so long to start? Back here. I always assume that I just have enough food. We actually need to eat a lot less food in this run. So how many starves you do. Oops. Like you need to stay in a shelter and drainage system at the very beginning. You need to stay in a shelter in chimney twice. So that's like three shelters total. So don't do a slide pounce here, because I became exhausted last time I did it. Rivulet. Starving Rivulet is still faster than every other character. That's not true at all, but Starving Saint is probably the fastest starving character because grappling and doing jumps while grappling does not use any stamina at all. You do it indefinitely. Train tunnels can play. What song is that? I think I might know which one. I just searched it up without Rain World. Like, oh, what's a train tunnel? This is the expedition music. In expedition mode, when you're like picking what like characters and stuff, that's the music that plays. I have heard it before in Metropolis. Exactly 66 seconds after the sun settles, once every 5 cycles. Oh, so it plays and then 5 cycles later it can't play again. It's not like every 5th cycle exactly is the only time it can play, right? I didn't get martyred that time. I think I know why, because I totally forgot what I was doing. I accidentally started doing the whole run, even though I said I was just gonna practice specific rooms. Whatever. But I like karmic catch at the very beginning, and then I had to go back and shelter normal. Like I think the extra normal shelter made me lose enough points to not get a martyr, but I still got survivor, so it's nice backup. Yeah, the death is on purpose. You think I just jumped off the cliff? It's really funny in speedruns. You literally just go and like die as fast as possible. Because it's the fastest way to access a passage. Wonder if I can just swim to the end of this without getting any air. You do need to spend more time recovering once you do make it to the end, and you don't get the swim boost as much, so maybe it is worth it to get air at some point. I love how easy these rooms are for Rivulet. You just swim boost across the whole thing and that's it. So I think a plink might be possible here, but the water is so shallow. Maybe you could try to like do something like that and angle it into the tunnel up there. That seems very difficult though. Get a specific angle. Like that's how accurate I am. I missed by a lot. Can you do a wall bounce here? No. It's not like that. I think that the point right in the middle of the water is not possible because it's just too shallow. You need to fall into the water for it to work. And you hit the floor before that. Five pebbles will be very confused. I just think they're watching the whole time, just really go crazy. Especially once you enter the rot. This is where you're supposed to go. Well, not, of course you're not supposed to go here, but this is where I like to go in the speedrun. So it's pretty fast and you skip all the moles, at least until this point. What is this fish doing? How is this fish breaking the laws of physics? I suddenly become way better at the game when I entered the depths because I've actually practiced this before. It lines back up with the old pilgrimage percent route, and I've done 90% for Riv, which goes through here. Except it doesn't really go through this area. You don't have enough karma. You do the hazer skip, and these guardians in this room kill you. Which I found out in an 80% attempt where I just took this route without thinking, and the guardians proceeded to give Rivulet extra brain damage. I'd like a rock, please. Too late, honestly. This is where I died earlier. When Pebbles meets you, he says always that blink expression, but I'm pretty sure that's just unique to Riv. He just wasn't really paying attention to those cats, but when he looks at Riv, they really do have brain damage. They have no room for expressions. It isn't as good though. Why they eat brain cells? Well, it's really your only option. I kind of wonder how those instant slide pounces even work. Like, is it hard coded so that on the very first frame you can do a pounce if you want to? Or is it some sort of jank about how the system works? Like, maybe there's a flag that like allows you to do a pounce, and it's just by default set to true, but then it is immediately set to false until the time when you are supposed to be able to pounce. If you manage to grab it on that first frame, you can do a pounce early. Although who knows how? Actually, I'm sure people know how it works, but not me. I feel like the movement code for this game is probably just a big pile of spaghetti. Like, apparently Whiplash is like older movement code than other stuff, so that's why it functions differently. Wow, look at that jump. You could totally accidentally do a plunk there, by the way. All right, so this alternate route, I think is faster, getting the shaded echo, but it's just really weird. Fiona has an enormous mess. I'm going to ask the speedrun moderators about this run in particular. Because I have no idea how starving affects how you like are supposed to time things. Because it removes like a good like 8 minutes from the time the way that you starve. Um, but of course you should still account for that in the final time. So I'll have to figure out how that works. If this ends up being, I think this I have figured out this is the best route. Because I tested stuff with the farm raised echo. I don't know if there's another option. Because the chimney, wall, and skylines echoes are all like pretty close together and easy to get. You could do something like getting the farm raised echo and the shaded echo, and then just get the chimney and wall echo, but I feel like farm raise is such a pain. So you have to go through outskirts and industrial just to get it, and you have to go through the gate twice. Well, you only need to go through it once if you starve. But that's another starve that messes up times. Well, no. So you wouldn't go to Skyland, so it'd be the same amount of starves. It also getting to, well, the whole run in general kind of depends on having max length cycles. If without that remix setting, if you got unlucky and got a really short cycle, you just wouldn't be able to make it to some places. Like the shaded echo is quite far away. So it's actually pretty close to be able to make that in 4 minutes. Well, in the max length cycle. So if you without that, it would be very difficult. And much more RNG heavy. So I will need to figure out if that's allowed. Because we allowed the no randomized cycles for Riv story percent, so I feel like it should also be the case for a very similar category. For something like any percentage, it's irrelevant because you can make it without the longest possible cycles. But anyway, that is going to be the end of the stream. I don't know if I want to just do the speedrun, like do attempts and attempts until I get like a good run, you know. I kind of want to look into Artificer. Friends with Elements 24. Ha. I don't know. I mean that element specifically. I don't think about the elements much, even though it's kind of my name. Yeah. So this run, it depends, but even if it is just the normal routes that I took before, I'm still interested in trying to optimize that. But also, it's kind of weird that I only saved like 20 seconds with no creatures with improved movement. So maybe improving that time is going to be more difficult than I think. But if this run yeah, is valid, then it's going to be fun to try to optimize it because there's so many areas. There's just like shaded, which is in the dark, so I need to learn how to do that movement when I can't see anything. Hold up. I don't have expedition enabled right now, so I can't look at that. What else is there? There's the movement in the gutter. There's all those planks that might be possible. That'd be funny. I don't know if this plank's okay. At least the second plank saves a lot of time. If I could find good alternate movement for the first plank, then I might want to replace that one. We'll see. But this route has promise. I never ever thought the shaded echo would have been the best option. That's funny. Anyway, that's the end of the stream. Thanks everyone for watching. See ya.